I requested that I spoke against the motion with the notion that it will be very easy to condemn the free senior high school policy, judging from the current state of the Ghana's economy. Mr. Chairman, on the 10th of February 2024, we had a training session here on the stream yard as we're preparing towards this debate. A judge on this platform was responding to a question and he said, my child is undergoing this free SHS and what we are facing, we don't want to talk about it. Oh, yes. That is not a bad prejudice at all. It is not, trust me, because he posed that judgment depending on the current state of Ghana's economy. But I want to ask just one question to anyone who will be thinking as such. The amount of money spent on the free SHS, sorry, the amount of money spent on senior high school prior to the introduction of the free SHS and the free SHS era, which one is much higher? I believe you know the answer to that question. One thing I want you to know here is that it is much easier to condemn something than to build it. And in this current state of Ghana's economy, the free senior high school policy suffers condemnation, though it does not deserve it. Granted that there was no free senior high school policy, would it be easy for every parent, including those who can't afford a 3-square meal, to pay for their ward school fees for them to attend Presec, Wesley Girls, Prempeh College? Of course not. Let us ask ourselves, why? Be with me as I take you through why. My opponent spoke about inadequate infrastructure, overcrowding after the free SHS policy was initiated. But trust me, I will take you through. WAEC recorded a better result after the free SHS has been introduced than the previous result before the free SHS. We sit here in our towns and cities saying that we can afford the education that has been made free. Oh, yes, we can afford. How can we afford? Oh, yes, we can. The peasant farmer who harvests annually, how can he afford that? How about the fisherman in the village who had to go through the toil of taking his son and daughter to Prempeh College and Wesley Girls, respectively? How was he going to do that? Now, the free SHS bridged the gap between the rich and the poor, and that is a fact. Though this is a fact, my opponent will say that the free SHS needs a review or reformation. Of course it does. That is, I mentioned it before, every good initiative comes with challenges and it will be better as time goes on. That is why you learn to pass exams. It doesn't mean that you are dumb. It means that you are becoming more intelligent. And so is the free SHS in a few years to come. Mohammed and Kiyuni 2020 recorded in their article that in the past few decades, formal education has gained more new impetus because it is globally recognized as the bedrock for development, alleviating poverty, and enhancing the quality of a country's human resources. This is in relation to the Sustainable Development Goal 4 and also to the 1992 Constitution. And I stated that in my opening statement. Now, the free SHS had led to a significant improvement in enrollment in subsequent academic years after its establishment. According to an article published by the Ministry of Education in 2018, an estimated 36% increase in enrollment was recorded at the commencement of the 2018-2019 academic year. Now, according to statistics, the free SHS educational program has benefited over 1.6 million school children as at the end of 2021, since it began in 2017. Similarly to this, 2.2 million school children were established to enroll in the free SHS after the 2022 school selection and placement process. Now, this should tell you that millions of potential students did not have the opportunity to education before the introduction of the policy. That is what we should focus on. This is most important for Ghana's growth, since mass education can end poverty, stagnation, sickness, and certain communal issues in Africa. One of the best policies in Ghana's educational history, as recorded, is this particular policy because it is aimed at achieving a sustainable development goal that would make Ghana and the world sustainable in a few years to come. Panel of judges, I sit here and I am here on this platform as a beneficiary of the Northern Scholarship when I went to the senior high school in 2010, Tamale Senior High School. At the time, two of my elder sisters, Rita and Lydia, were in Form 3 and Form 2 respectively. So it was difficult for my father to put me to school that very year. You know what I did? I had to go against myself and my lineage. So I added Adams to my name so that it could sound northern. Then I could win the Northern Scholarship. Can you tell the number of me somewhere? Maybe I was in a town, Yeji. How about that child who you can't even locate? What will they do? Maybe he or she hasn't even heard about the Northern Scholarship at the time. And because I benefited from that scholarship and had my SHS education, here I am today, adding my voice to an issue which is a national concern. Now, at Tamale Senior High School, we had a very huge population. One class could take about 72, 82 students because of the free scholarship. But we sailed through. I was able to pass my exams, not me alone, other colleagues, and we had access to tertiary education. What are we talking about? Now, this confirmed World Bank survey in 2021 that the poorest student from the most deprived district or from rural areas was 5 to 6 times less likely to access secondary education. Why should it be so? You and I are here speaking good English, boycotting an initiative that gave you education. Why should it be so? Ladies and gentlemen, my opponent will talk about the fact that the free senior high school policy found pleasure in promoting quantity than quality. Now, the reasons might be that the government doesn't provide the basic materials needed for the student to be comfortable. But I have a question. If the provision of quality education could be achieved in just a year or two, then the United Nations would not include it in the Sustainable Development Goals, hoping to achieve it by the end of 2030. And the SDGs was introduced in 2015. 15 years later, that is the aim. Why are you condemning the free senior high school policy that started something and hoping to achieve better progressively? Now, the progressiveness of the free SHS should start from somewhere, and I believe that it is now for it to grow in a few years to come. With all these reasons, it's an open fact that the free SHS is just encountering challenges that can be curtailed and not a fact that the policy is hindering national development. Now, if you say the policy is hindering national development, then you are indirectly saying that it is only the rich and those who can afford education that can get access to education. And you and I know that that shouldn't be the case. In an article published by Shamo 2020, a respondent shared her view that, and I quote, the free SHS is a good policy because if a nation invests in education, it means it is building its human resources for the future. Initially, I thought the government was using it as a propaganda. I thought it was one of the strategies to win power. But when the government implemented, I realized that even people from marginalized communities, you have money to purchase free senior high school. How about those from the marginalized communities could now get access to education? Even if it is not quality, it is better than no education at all. Now, panel of judges, ladies and gentlemen, let me kindly ask you a question. Have you ever used the popular saying that half a loaf is better than none? Let's have a bread because the rich could afford it. We are 15 here, and two people bought bread and they chopped alone. How about the 13 people? What should they do? Should they die? No. What are we talking about? And now, in an interview with Accra-based TV3 on 23rd January 2024, Ghanaian comedian and filmmaker Calibos has revealed that the free senior high school policy has helped him put aside some funds in savings. Calibos, a celebrity, our notion is that he is financially comfortable. Look at what he's saying. He says that for a long stretch of time, I could not save. That is because I have always paid school fees. These fees go out to those entering into the secondary schools and the primary schools. This confirms what a respondent said in the article written by Shamo. He says, gone are the days when parents will be wondering how to cater for their wards after basic education. Now, I believe with the introduction of the free SHS, such burden has been removed. Now, let me ask a question. Let's say that parents still pay 900 cedis, 1,000 Ghana cedis, 1,002 a semester in this economy, and you are catering for 5 children, or let's say your own children, 2 of them in the senior high school, maybe 2 are in the tertiary. How are you going to do that? Come on, what are we talking about? Panel of judges, my opponents will tell you that the free senior high school is the reason why Ghana's economy is in crisis. God, because they think that Ghana's money has been pumped into the service of the policy. We are in this country where our leaders will book private jets and spend billions of dollars in just a week or two. And we are complaining about money spent to educate Ghanaian youth, something that is not a liability. Private jets, liability, it won't bring anything, but we spend billions of dollars on it. What are we talking about? Those funds embezzled on other liabilities are the reasons why Ghana's economy is still in crisis, and not monies used to educate students. Moreover, panel of judges, I read the debt sustainability analysis report released by the IMF on May 2023 to explain the policies underpinning the IMF $3 billion extended credit facility for Ghana. And I'll tell you this, it was stated that the government spends money more than they get from their revenues. Those monies, education was mentioned. It is not a lie, but any money spent that you will retrieve later is better than money spent that you won't get anything from it. Corruption is the number one crime killing Africans. What are we talking about? We are educating students who in the next year, the next 2, 3 years, would stand here like I am sitting down here right now, talking on a national issue that is going to benefit somebody one day. We are adding to educational development. The free senior high school policy would give you and I the opportunity to liaise with the young ones coming up, become good entrepreneurs because we could read and write. If you hear that we have billionaires in Ghana, they didn't go to school, the world, they didn't go to, couldn't they speak English? They had primary and secondary education. So you don't need to give the rich, you don't need to keep giving the rich the chance. Give the poor man also the chance, the poor child the chance to also come up. At least senior high school is better for the child to also start something and be able to count, be accountable when it comes to their finances. As Ghana is spending more money on free education, the government has devised means to make extra money to fund the policy. If my boys are here, they'll tell you that it hurts that the government would take 10% from your sports betting winnings. The e-levy is one of them. What are we talking about?
Mr. Adams.
Spending on education is better. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Adams. Yeah, so if we understand you, free SHS closes the gap between the rich and the poor, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, Mr. Nathan, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I can hear you.
Yes. So, your opponent said free SHS basically closes the gap between the rich and then the poor. What do you have to say about this?
He's misleading everybody on this platform. It's never true. The free senior high school has widened the gap between the poor and the rich, because the poor are not paying and the rich who have enough to even pay for the poor are not also paying. So what is the gap in here? I will hit his point one after the other. And prior to, he made mention that the free senior high school resource is far, far better. He was speaking with that fact. They are not fact. I will have my video play very soon to you, and you see the reality. And it was like sickness and co. Sickness, people are packed like delayed sardine at the various dormitory, and you think that one is not sickness? Let me take my point one after the other. There's poor student classroom ratio and teachers ratio. This data is from Ministry of Education, 2016, 2015, and 2018, and Action Aid 2019, Business and Financial Times 2019. Student classroom ratio, as at 2014, there were 39 students per classroom, and 2015, 37, 2016, 35. The average was 36 students. That is before free senior high school. That's progressive free senior high school. And let's go to the post senior high school, or this is the free senior high school period. The average were 52 students in a class, which is very poor. Student teacher ratio, 2014, 19 students to a teacher. 2020, 20 students to a teacher. That's 2015, 20 students to a teacher. 2016, 20 students to a teacher. Let's see the free senior high school period. 26 students to a teacher, 32 and 43. On the average is 40 students per teacher. And the workload is too much. Beneficiary and teachers' views are being mute. If free senior high school education is free and equitably distributed, shouldn't we ask the children about it? My co-debater was like, it's free and hot. If free senior high school education is free and equitably distributed, shouldn't we ask the children about it? My research provides that students whose voices are usually muted because they are not expert in policy. That student voices are muted because they are not expert in policy and implementation. The teachers who are instructors, views are also muted, since both teachers and students have high interest but no power and implementation of the free senior high school. Please play the video for me.
Dr. Tria Jumo, and he's at the University of Ghana, prepared for the Development Impact West Africa, GIMPA, and University of California, Berkeley. So he basically was looking at the impact of free SHS on and quality and double track on quality education. And he has a very interesting conclusion. So he has 16 outcomes of education. Okay, a lot of outcomes on page 12 of the report. And in terms of the assessment, the assessment for quality of academic work is rather dire. So let me read. It says in table 6, general academic performance decreased in all the 4 core subject specific areas among double track students. What they did was they picked about 59 schools and compared the double track schools versus the single track schools, because double track is one of the main consequences of free SHS because of infrastructure challenges. And the conclusion of the study was that in English, maths, science, and social studies, comparing 2016 to 2017, so the year before free SHS and the year after free SHS, the results from the study indicate that general academic performance declined in all the 4 core subject areas when they compared double track schools to non-double track schools, right? The results from the regression, etc., showed that English language performance decreased by 26% among the double track schools compared to non-double track schools. Integrated science decreased by 30% in performance in the double track schools compared to non-double track schools. Then they said overall academic performance decreased by 36.1% among the double track schools compared to the non-double track schools.
Let's go. Poor infrastructure under the free senior high school. See, this is with the free senior high school, children sleep at unwanted places. They need to be packed like sardines and other things, which is unfair. Let's play the second video, please.
Challenge. So we are having now overcrowded classrooms. Now, because of the challenge of increasing numbers by almost 400,000 in a year, you have more students who don't have space in the dormitories as well. So this week we went to a school in the Western region, Uni Valley Senior High School. One of the mining companies had gone there to build a new block for them. And look at the condition of Univas. This is the school that I think Mr. Tony Obin attended. Look at the windows. All right, and that's not even the challenge. Because the students are so many, their bunk beds don't fit into the room. So you have students having to sleep on the floor. Because if you have a bunk bed, there isn't space. So look at that. Chop boxes, mattresses on the floor. And there are quite a number of schools with this type of problem. Now, we are not saying flex is bad. We're saying it's introduced so many students and infrastructure has not risen as quickly as possible. Students were spoken to. Quite a terrible sight. So you have more students in the classrooms, more students in the dormitories.
Okay. No water in some schools and the free senior high school. We've seen on Onia TV a water shortage at Ada Senior High School has caused 2 students to drown in a river whilst fetching water. This is disadvantage of the free senior high school. Free senior high school, unnecessary shutdown of schools. Today your kid is in school and the next day they are closing. There's no food. The Binduri Community Day Senior High School in the Upper East region has been shut down following protests by students over lack of food in the school. Poor infrastructure under free senior high school. Students became vagrant, transient, and homeless under the free senior high school. Students who had a place to sleep in school, that is dormitories, have been sleeping outside and all sorts of things. They have been packed like delay sardine and all sorts of things. So there's no place, and they've become like aliens in the school that they're supposed to sleep comfortable and learn. But unfortunately, under this policy, free senior high school policy lowered the standard of education. A former vice chancellor of the University of Ghana, Professor Ivan Adai-Mensah, says the quality of country's public education system, particularly in the second cycle, is gradually waning. Speaking on Joy AM show, the academician said the situation is attributed to government flagship programs, free senior high school. He insisted that the policy has not yielded the desired impact since its introduction by the ruling government. Whilst recognizing that the free senior high school policy has increased the number of students, Professor Adai-Mensah observed that the quality of education is being sacrificed. I must be frank, he said, when it comes to free senior high school effect on the quality of education, I won't give it anything more than 4 out of 10. That is 40%, probably less than that. If anything at all, it has lowered the standard of education. Free senior high school has lowered the standard of education. Poor performance under the free senior high school. We've seen that video already. International Monetary Fund, IMF, has criticized Ghana's free senior high school policy, saying although it has increased enrollment, it is poorly targeted. Ghanaians spend close to 4% of GDP on education within good results in terms of enrollment, but poor learning outcome. The flagship program, Free Senior High School, which covers the full course of secondary education, has helped increase enrollment, but is poorly targeted. IMF said in a country report released ahead of the approval of the country's $3 billion bailout. 70% of free senior high school students fall out from the tertiary as a result of poor performance. This is 70% of students fall from university, alarming Deputy Education Minister. That's the Deputy Education Minister has described alarming the number of students who are unable to get admission into the tertiary cycle. Dr. Yao Edutum said the persistent poor performance of the student in the West African Examination Council, WASI, speak ill of Ghana's education system, an indication that the new reforms must be put in place. The new reform must be put in place. That's the former Deputy Minister of Education, currently the Minister of Education. Passes in WASI were disappointed under the free senior high school. Like my colleague misled the house that the free senior high school results were better. You see the previous video they've shown. It shows that the results were very, very, very poor. School lack Maslow's physiological needs under the free senior high school. Physiological needs are the most basic of Maslow's hierarchy. These are the essential people need for physical survival. Examples include air, food, drink, shelter, clothing, warmth, sleep, and health. If you fail to these needs, your body cannot function properly. Physiological needs are considered the most essential because you can't meet the others' need until you meet the physiological needs. The motivations at this level comes from a person's instincts. And free senior high school, they don't have food. They can't provide every day. They'll come that they are hungry and other things. Please, let's play the third video.
You quick placement here. That part from the call and no as I was in school now quickly. As someone see what you say, placement. School ya anum kwachi data kwachi akame. Na me ya sign board no. Anum Asamoah Senior High Technical School. Ewo adum kwangoma. Ere na so trade kwano so. School nini. Ya posting edition for 255 afine ko. As of Enura or mana 7 pe and are returning to the school. School nini classroom to my wachi. Maybe a check kwadana dey. Boarding and day. You see dormitory my school to school now pay for na call rent to BCA and the kwadana group. And the free senior high school ya ma borders aduane adopta awia adubeno. Awo for ma enko enum sim enum Asamoah Senior High School. Omunya say aduane bi. Yes a one na do aduane eco sport. That part for me call that story about free a code kwamuma eco sport my bus about 30 minutes walk. 18 Nantini emu ejikata. Headmistress appeals for infrastructure support for Enum Asamoah SHS. April 2, 2022. That is it. Last year. And the Atlas Yamapim na Yanya Huchu. And the Asa posted edition for 255 some call. As we really past 7 pay. If I offer to be as my nominal can say, and Yadu Bashaman back. So send the back back. Echo rewrite it. These no man yet. What else Papa
Yeah, my friend Adam made mention that half a loaf is better than none. What should I choose for half if I could fight to get the full bread? And he made mention that it's progressive. Yeah, we need to go it progressive way. You see, previously from Nkrumah time, we're having the Northern Scholarship that people need to enjoy from the distance. It was progressive. And we still have progressive free senior high school under the previous administrations. So this one to the poor are not paying. There are some people who can pay. Let them pay. And those who cannot pay should be left out of the hook. And my friend was like, sickness. See how the kids have been sleeping on bare floor. They don't even get communicable diseases. This is very, very bad. It is quantity. Free education, the better thing you can talk about is quantity at the expense of quality. It is mutual exclusive. It's either free senior high school, it's either you are going for quality or quantity. But I think quality is the best. And Mr. Adam is misleading.
Mr. Nathan.
Hello?
Yeah, Mr. Nathan.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, please, you have 2 minutes to wrap up.
Yeah, how many minutes, please? Come again.
You have 3 minutes to wrap up.
Okay. It said better results. Per the video I've shown, that documentary video, the results that's per the previous year before free senior high school, the results were far, far better. And even Salamat, they do report for government on performance of the Edison WAEC, that's West African WASI student. And with per Salamat report, they said even per what my colleague said that the results were nice. Comparing ourselves to the youth in the sub-region, that is Nigeria, Sierra Leone, and Gambia, they perform far, far better than us. They perform far, far. But we start for the exam, like the student who sat for the exams in Ghana was encouraging as compared to years before free senior high school.